The entire world held its breath as history unfolded before their eyes. People from every corner of the globe stopped what they were doing, glued to their screens, waiting for what was to come. It didn't matter where they lived, what language they spoke, or what they believed in. This moment connected them all. The air was charged with anticipation, a calm before a storm of change. A massive crowd filled St. Peter's Square, their eyes fixed on the grand balcony of the basilica. Then, a new voice rang out, steady and powerful. It was Pope Luis Antonio Tagle, the first Asian pope in history. His presence alone was a symbol of transformation, but his first words sent shockwaves around the world. This was not just a simple greeting. It was a turning point, a statement that a new era had begun for the Catholic Church. The energy in the square was electric. Flags waved, people held hands, and hope shone on their faces. It wasn't just a religious moment. It was something much bigger. Even as news of political shifts in faraway places like Togo spread, nothing could overshadow the significance of Pope Tagle's first command. He was a man known for humility, deep care for the poor, and a bold vision for the future. And now, the world was watching his every move. His first message was summed up in one word: inclusivity. The Pope called for a church that welcomed everyone, especially those who had been ignored or excluded. He didn't just talk about change, he demanded it. This was not a slight adjustment to traditions, it was a challenge to live with more kindness, more courage, and more action. His voice carried across the square, igniting the hearts of millions who longed for a more compassionate world. Pope Tagle made it clear that faith should not be just words, but action. He envisioned a church that did not just preach about love, but demonstrated it in the real world. He called on people to stop treating poverty as a problem to be managed, and instead to eradicate it completely. For him, faith wasn't about grand speeches, it was about rolling up sleeves and getting to work. His command was bold. The church must lead the fight against climate change. He demanded action, not just prayers, calling for the Vatican to abandon fossil fuels and stand with indigenous communities most affected by environmental destruction. This was not just a polite request, it was a direct challenge to world leaders to take responsibility for protecting the planet. He declared it a sacred duty to care for God's creation. But Pope Tagle didn't stop there. He extended an open hand to the LGBTQ+ community, stating that the church must be a place of love and understanding, not judgment. His words were a warm embrace to those who had long felt pushed away, a signal that the church was listening, changing, and opening its doors to all. Inside the Vatican, Pope Tagle made another stunning declaration. There would be no more silence on abuse scandals. He vowed to confront the crisis head-on, seeking justice for survivors and ensuring that such tragedies would never happen again. His promise was clear. The church would no longer ignore the voices of the hurting. The world reacted with a mix of astonishment, excitement, and nervous anticipation. Progressive Catholics, especially in developing nations, celebrated his words as a long-awaited shift. Leaders from struggling countries called him a hero for the poor and oppressed. Even the United Nations praised his vision, calling it a wake-up call for all faith communities. But not everyone welcomed his message. Traditionalists within the Vatican hesitated, uneasy with his radical approach. Some cardinals worried that his focus on social justice might change long-standing church doctrine too much. Pope Tagle, however, did not waver. He was carrying forward the work of Pope Francis, but with his own unique vision. His leadership was shaped by his Filipino roots, a background of both hardship and resilience. He understood what it meant to struggle, and he carried that understanding into his mission. He wasted no time in putting his words into action. He called for a global summit of church leaders to discuss poverty, exclusion, and the environment. He traveled to struggling communities, showing that the church was not just an institution but a force for real change. He listened to the people, victims of abuse, the marginalized, the forgotten, and made their voices part of the church's future. Pope Tagle's vision extended beyond the Catholic world. He reached out to leaders of different religions, emphasizing unity and cooperation rather than division. He believed that faith should not be a wall separating people, but a bridge bringing them together. However, his progressive ideas sparked heated debate. Some argued that he was pushing the church too far, too fast. Protests erupted outside churches, with some claiming he was changing Catholicism beyond recognition. Headlines across newspapers captured the divide. Was Pope Tagle a savior or a revolutionary? Despite the criticism, he remained steadfast. He saw the church not as an unchanging monument, but as a living force meant to serve the world. He called for a return to the true mission of Christianity, to love, to heal, to act. His leadership was not about preserving the past, but about building a better future. And so Pope Tagle stood firm, his feet planted like a rock in a storm. He was not afraid of the waves crashing against him. His heart was set on leading a church that fought for justice, lifted the poor, and embraced everyone with open arms. His first command sent shockwaves around the world, and its impact was just beginning. Whether seen as a hero or a disruptor, one thing was clear: Pope Tagle had already changed history.